So what leadership is really doing, if they're doing this well, what they're doing is facilitating high achievement, not just for themselves, but for their teams too, because their team's success add up to their success, right? If things are structured properly. And there's a couple key bullets on how to do this. One, set and align goals. And you can define a goal as having direction, distance, and deadline. For example, if you state that the goal is to increase efficiency, there's many ways to interpret this, and people could say, hey, whatever happens, they can say that efficiency is better, right? But if you say that the goal is to increase efficiency to 90% by July 1st, right? There's a lot more accountability. There's a lot more structure. It's a lot more clear and concise exactly what needs to happen and by when, right? The direction is increase efficiency. The distance is to 90%. The deadline is to July 1st or by July 1st, right? Very clear. The second thing, just as equally important for leadership to do is coach for greater achievement, right? Create a high achievement culture, really. And what I mean when I say coach is I mean ask, don't tell, right? And this is a key respect for people thing here is that a leader has to accept that sometimes their people know better than they do. And they almost always know better, right? They have a vantage point that the leader doesn't have, that they can see the problem in a more of a full 360 way that a leader that's maybe, up in the ivory tower just can't see, just doesn't have. So in asking, you're showing respect. You're saying that, hey, I respect that you know the situation and probably have a pretty good way of fixing it, right? Maybe some of y'all heard of Toyota Kata, right? The 5 questions. Hey, what's your goal? What'd you do last and what you learned from it? What obstacles are in your way? What are you going to try next and by when? When can we go see? That's a perfectly good format to use to ask and approach the situation as a learner instead of a dictator or a teller, per se. The third thing here, remove roadblocks. That's both getting yourself out of the way, right? So that people can grow, learn, make mistakes, learn, grow, etc. And also removing the bureaucracy and removing the hurdles and the challenges that people have that keep them from being able to take autonomy and improve the business, right? As a leader, you kind of got to learn that your job is to eliminate your own job ultimately, right? That's almost impossible to really do, but ultimately you got to think of yourself as a teacher and a people developer as much as a leader, as a leader in the traditional sense. So, and the fourth step is never stop learning. Lead by example. Present yourself as someone who doesn't know, right? And refrain from jumping to conclusions and being the smartest person in the room, and approach every situation as a learner. Hey, you guys teach me what's going on, and you teach me the path, the way forward, right? Hopefully, if you've done step 1 right, you've done a good job setting the goal. You've done a good job setting direction and aligning people behind a common direction. The next, the last step here is lead by example and allow people to lead in their various domains. Ultimately, though, you're just trying to build autonomy. The fastest way to adapt to the needs of the customer is to empower the front lines, empower middle management to see and solve problems themselves, keep the organization in lockstep with the customer as their needs change, as their demands grow or decline. Empower people who are closest to the customer, almost shaking hands with the customer to adapt along with the needs of the customer. And as a leader, you just empower them to do so and keep them keep the perspective of the company's goals as well.